Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Melanoma Research Foundation CureOM initiative, hashtag I Get Dilated Awareness Month. We are so excited to be talking to two wonderful experts and advocates for the ocular melanoma community today. As some of you know, ocular melanoma touches over 2,000 people a year. And here at the Melanoma Research Foundation, we use November to really focus on Eye Health Awareness Month. Even people with 20/20 vision should get their eyes checked every year for general eye health. So we really use it as a platform to bring awareness, not only to ocular melanoma, but awareness to general eye health as well. So I am joined by two very esteemed partners today. I'm going to introduce them both before we dive into our conversation. So our first speaker of the day is Dr. Arun Singh. Dr. Singh is the director of the Department of Ophthalmic Oncology at the Cole Eye Institute at the Cleveland Clinic. He has published 475 scientific articles and has edited several textbooks. He is the editor of the Journal of Ocular Oncology and Pathology and past president of the International Society of Ocular Oncology. So welcome, Dr. Singh. We're very excited to talk to you today. Our second speaker is Dr. Kyleigh de los Pinos. So Kyleigh is the founding CEO of Aura Biosciences, which she created from the ground up. She has developed the company concept and has spearheaded fundraising efforts. And today she continues to lead Aura's strategy and operations. Prior to founding Aura, she worked at Eli Lilly. And we are so thrilled to have her join us today to talk about what Aura Biosciences is doing in the ocular melanoma space. So we will start off our quick fire panel here with Dr. Singh. So Dr. Singh, as you know, during the month of November, we focus on our hashtag I Get Dilated campaign. And we encourage people to go and get their eyes checked and get a dilated eye exam, again, for their overall eye health and wellness. Dr. Singh, why is early detection and getting regular eye exams so critical to maintaining eye health? And who do you suggest patients go see for an eye exam?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's a privilege. And I can tell from a clinical experience, many patients said, I've had my eye checkup for 20 years. What they really meant was checking for glasses, not really had a dilated eye exam. When you say dilated, obviously, you're looking at the inside of the structure that's 2/3 of the eyeball. So you cannot examine the optic nerve, you cannot examine the retina, you cannot examine the retinal blood vessels inside the eye if you do not have dilated eye exam. So when you say an eye exam just for glasses, it's just a refractive of the optical component. The real anatomic exam is missing. So eye exam really should include dilated eye exam. There is no exam without it. So that's number one. And number two is where they should go. Well, they can go to anybody who can actually do a dilated eye exam. That could be a general ophthalmologist. And now there's more and more good, high-quality optometric services who supplement their examination with this wide field imaging that's available for certain small amount of price. So any of those are good options. The main thing is to get it done and to be aware that without dilated eye exam, there is no eye exam.
That's a really key point. Without the dilation, it's not a real eye exam. And I think many people just go and get fitted for contacts or glasses, and that key component is missing in terms of the overall health and wellness. So can you share a little bit about the work that you're doing at the Cole Eye Institute in Cleveland and a little bit about your work there? I know there's some predictive modeling to improve diagnostics that would be very interesting for our community to learn about.
So in related to our present discussion about melanoma and or precursors of melanoma, I would say dilated eye exam would be critical because approximately 5% of white people or Caucasians would have a nevus or a freckle, what we call in general terms. But small nevi and freckles are common, but they still need to be monitored, certainly have to be documented, I would say at least with a photograph. So dilated eye exam and a photograph would be critical. And once they're dilated, we know they should be monitored, if not every year, every couple of years, to document any change in size or growth or malignant transformation. That can happen in some percentage of cases, maybe say 1 in 10,000. So still, there's a real risk, although very low risk, and that should be included as part of a general eye exam. So if they go for every year checkup for eyes, then that should be included in their evaluation. So that's the one way to say we're going to look at freckles or nevi, and the nevi can become melanomas. And some melanomas, I have to say, are also detected incidentally. People go for glasses or contact lens, and they said, hey, for a certain amount of dollars, we can do a fundus exam, and they can hold and behold, they have a tumor inside the eye. But those are rare and I'll say dramatic cases. But in general, melanoma being rare, it's unlikely you'll find it this way, but certainly you're going to find nevi that could become melanoma over time. So dilated eye exam would be very useful from that perspective. And we've been studying at Cleveland Clinic at the Cole Eye about the how to differentiate, for example, a nevus from melanoma or a larger nevus from small melanoma. When has it become malignant and when it is still benign? Those kind of differentiation using some early machine learning models and predictive testing. And we are about 85% accurate in predicting which tumor is benign and which tumor is malignant.
I think that'll bring a lot of hope to patients, right, who have a nevus in their eye that they have a lot of anxiety over and they're watching. Certainly a model like that will help alleviate some uncertainty, certainly, with their surveillance.
That is the hope. That is the hope. Wonderful. That is the purpose of the work. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Well, Ellie, we're going to go over to you. Oro Biosciences has been such a committed partner with the MRF's CureOM initiative over the years, supporting many of our educational programming and offerings. And I think it'd be great to hear from you why that's so important to Aura.
Yes, absolutely. We are such a patient-centric organization, and it has been, for me, one of the key things that I wanted to make sure when we started the company that we would develop this technology and it would be transformational for a medical field that had had no innovation in decades. So that kind of driver has been such a core in our corporate values, in our way we treat everything we do. It is the realization that if we are not doing this, if we are not breaking barriers, if we don't push forward things that otherwise would seem impossible, patients would have no options, and this disease would have been treated for the same way for over 50 years. So innovation and patient-centric is the key aspect of what we do and what we strongly believe that will drive a big difference if we're successful.
Well, I can speak from personal experience. Your company is very patient-centric, and I think you've had multiple patients speak at your staff meetings and different events to really bring home that message that at the end of the day, you're there to help patients. So I think that's a creed you all live by and you should be very proud of. So thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Singh, we're going to come back over to you. I think, some of the things that we hear, patients want to hear what other patients are saying and asking. And I think it's always interesting to hear from physicians about what are patients asking you about eye health? What are some of those common questions that you get that would be beneficial for the wider community to hear?
So everyone wants to stay healthy. They read about this diet, that exercise, different things, different lifestyle changes that we can modify. When it comes to eye health, I have to say there's not a whole lot of literature on it and very few proven things. So patient will ask, what can I do to stay healthy? What can I do? So of course, maintain your body weight, do some exercise, don't become diabetic. Normal things that will, of course, prevent your eyes. And there's this nutritional supplement that is the only one that's approved by the NEI, which is called preservation or AREDS-related capsules, that people who are a little bit older, perhaps who have age-related macular degeneration, they can take that, and in studies that has shown to be beneficial. But there's nothing an ordinary man who is otherwise healthy can take to become more healthy, so to speak. There is no supplements. Just normal balanced lifestyle will help your eyes like it will help everything else.
And those yearly exams
would certainly add to that, yes.
Yeah. Wonderful. Ellie, we're going to come back to you. Why do you feel it's important for industry to support the scientific community, researchers, clinicians, and to help more advanced options for ocular melanoma patients? And maybe you could talk about ways that Aura is committing to advancing some of these scientific achievements in the space.
Absolutely. I think it's so important. First of all, I am a scientist, and as such, I feel strongly that there's no innovation without a strong scientific backing. It means that you back the science initially, but then all along, because there is not just basic science, but then there is clinical research. Uh, when you truly develop novel drugs, you need to understand how they are better developed in the clinic too. For example, in our case, we started with intravitreal administration, and that we saw that the drug was working, but it was not the best way to deliver the safety and the big value of this drug, which means that patients would benefit without any trade-off on vision. And we did the innovation of suprachoroidal administration, right? It's innovation all along. It's a continuous circle. And for us, the technology being discovered at NIH, for example, we have what's called a CRADA agreement with the NIH. For over 10 years, we have been sponsoring all of the research that NIH has been conducting. And now we have such a large number of publications to better understand every single aspect of the mechanism of action of the drug. If we hadn't invested in that, we would have a drug that works, but we wouldn't know why it works so well. Now we can understand that it may have a potential to even prevent metastasis through a CD8 T cell response, where if we hadn't done that initially in animal models, we would have never had that understanding of that possibility. So it is at the core of what we do to support researchers, clinicians, the ocular oncology community, and most importantly, our patients.
Well, speaking of patients and going back to Dr. Singh, we're really excited because we have set the date for our 2025 CureOM Ocular Melanoma Patient and Caregiver Symposium. And we are going to Dr. Singh's neck of the woods at the Cleveland Clinic on April 26th and 27th, which we are very excited about. Dr. Singh, in our remaining few minutes here, are there a couple of themes you just want to touch on or topics that will be discussed in 2025 just to kind of whet the appetite of our patient community who might want to join us there?
Yes, first of all, I'd say we extend a warm welcome to everyone who wants to Cleveland. So it's a very beautiful city, very beautiful place. And if you have time, we go around the city and also see some of the Cleveland Clinic as an institute. But coming back to the specific programming, there is huge excitement in the field of uveal melanoma. Like like Ellie just mentioned, that we haven't had trials for 50 years. Now we are entering an era of clinical trials. We have 4 major clinical trials going on in ocular melanoma. That hasn't happened in last 30 years since I got into this business. And so we're going to highlight clinical trials in ocular melanoma or uveal melanoma that patients can learn from or relate to, and in some cases, even participate in institutions nearby where they live. So that's one part of it, which I think is very exciting. And second is things related to genetics of uveal melanoma. Everybody says, oh, why did I get this? Or will my son get it? Will my daughter get it? So those kind of things, and when to suspect genetic component or the hereditary component, and which patients can benefit from genetic testing. So these are the highlights. And of course, the walking tour of Cleveland, that's a highlight of the program too.
That is a huge highlight. It's a beautiful city. We also have our Miles for Melanoma 5K there every August. So we visit frequently. Well, this has been wonderful. I want to thank you both so much for volunteering your time and supporting our hashtag I Get Dilated campaign this month. For those of our viewers tonight who want to dive a little bit deeper into their understanding of ocular melanoma, including screening, diagnosis, treatment options, clinical trials, and other latest advancements, we invite you to check out our upcoming webinar sponsored by Aura Biosciences, which will be tomorrow, November 20th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. The session is going to feature Dr. Andrew Stacy, who's an associate professor of ocular oncology at the University of Washington, and he's also an OM patient and advocate. It's going to be a really amazing session, and there will be time for question and answer after the webinar from our audience viewers. So thank you both so much for your time. Thank you for being such advocates for ocular melanoma patients and their loved ones, and for all you do day in and day out. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a privilege.
Thank you so much as well for all the work you do. It's a privilege for us as well.